Hello and thanks for joining us on the news on NTA International. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Now let's take a quick look at the headlines. 2022 flood, Nigeria loses more than 700 billion naira worth of food. Researchers commend President Buhari for signing into law Agricultural Development Fund bill. Pakistan's former military ruler Pervez Musharraf dies in Dubai. Thanks for joining us. Pope Francis rounds off South Sudan trip with calls for peace at open-air mass as he urges the country's leaders to end conflict and restore dignity to people. In other news, East African leaders urge immediate ceasefire in East Democratic Republic of Congo. Justin Bemui brings us details.
Con almeno 4 milioni di figli di questa terra sfolati.
Pope Francis appealed to the people of South Sudan to lay down their weapons of hatred at an open-air mass on the final day of his pilgrimage to a country blighted by violence and poverty. Large crowds of ecstatic worshippers streamed into the John Garang Mausoleum in the capital Juba to see the 86-year-old pontiff, who has made peace and reconciliation the theme of his 3-day trip to the world's newest nation. He voiced hope that the people of South Sudan, a country that has been at war for about half its young life, would build a reconciled future. People waved national flags and sang "Welcome, Holy Father" to South Sudan as the Argentine pontiff moved through the crowds in his Pope Mobile before delivering the mass to an audience local authorities put at around 70,000. Francis later flew out of Juba for Rome. The Pope earlier had met with victims of war on South Sudan peace pilgrimage. Attendees cheered and waved flags as Pope Francis, seated in a wheelchair, arrived for the meeting with internally displaced persons at the Freedom Hall in Juba, South Sudan. It was the first papal visit to the largely Christian country since it achieved independence from mainly Muslim Sudan in 2011 after a long and bloody civil war. Despite the initial revelry in 2011, South Sudan was at war with itself just 2 years later in a conflict that killed nearly 400,000 people and displaced 4 million. A peace deal was signed in 2018 between President Salva Kiir and his deputy Riek Machar, but many of its conditions remain unmet and violence continues to roil the country. In other news, East African leaders have called for an immediate ceasefire in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo at an extraordinary summit called to find ways of calming the raging conflict. The talks were hosted in Burundi by the 7-nation East Africa Community, which is leading mediation efforts to end the fighting in a vast Central African nation. A resurgent rebel group is continuing despite a peace roadmap hammered out in the Angolan capital in July last year and the deployment of an EAC force in November.
Thank you, Justin, for the updates. Now, still on the foreign scene, Pakistan's former military ruler, Pervez Musharraf, has died in Dubai at the age of 79 after long illness. Reports have it that the army confirmed the 4-star general dead in a hospital in Dubai Sunday morning.
Pakistan's exiled former military ruler, Pervez Musharraf, who became a key U.S. ally during the War on Terror, died in a Dubai hospital on Sunday, aged 79, after a long illness. Musharraf seized power in a 1999 bloodless coup and was acting simultaneously as Pakistan's army chief, chief executive, and president when the 9/11 attacks on the United States took place.
Dear brothers and sisters, your armed forces have never and shall never let you down, inshallah.
This was after the then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif tried to dismiss him as army chief, having appointed him above more senior officers a year earlier. The general twice suspended the constitution and was accused of rigging a referendum shoring up his power, as well as rampant rights abuses, including rounding up opponents during his nearly 9-year rule. Nonetheless, he became Washington's chief regional ally during their invasion of neighboring Afghanistan. The decision made after the U.S. issued a for us or against us ultimatum put him in the crosshairs of Islamist militants who made several attempts on his life. But he also earned Pakistan a huge influx of foreign aid, which bolstered the economy. In more than 7 years in office, he oversaw a stint of economic growth while dodging at least 3 assassination attempts. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
And joining me live to discuss on the death of Musharraf is the former Nigerian ambassador to Pakistan, Ambassador Dauda Danladi. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us on the news. You know, there have been so much mixed reactions on the life and times of Musharraf. How would you describe this man?
Musharraf was a very courageous, dedicated and patriotic leader who, when he was appointed in 1998 as the chief army staff, at the time Pakistan was facing very serious challenges ranging from growing terrorism. The country was isolated internationally. The country was virtually bankrupt economically. And of course, as you know, looking at the checkered political history of Pakistan, you see that the opposition have always...
All right, Ambassador, I'm so sorry I have to cut you there. We seem to be having glitches with your audio. We'll come back to you after the next report. Do bear with us. Moving on now, President Muhammadu Buhari condemns the attack on vigilantes at Yatgoje Forest in Jibia local government area of Katsina State, where many lives were lost. Reports say the insurgents ambushed a convoy of vigilantes in the forest as they went to recover stolen cows, leading to the killings. The president, in a statement, said pays tribute to all those vigilantes killed by the terrorists, saying that the sacrifices of the brave men who are working to prevent and punish crime in their communities will not be forgotten. And in other news, the Academic Staff Union of Colleges of Agriculture is optimistic that with the signing into law of the Agricultural Development Trust Fund by President Muhammadu Buhari, the agricultural revolution aimed at diversifying the country's economy is achievable. National President of the Union, Dr. Peter Aboki, stated this at a press conference at the end of the 4th National Executive Council meeting of the Union. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
In the past 7 years of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, the agriculture sector has been receiving tremendous funding aimed at diversifying the country's economy from overdependence in the petroleum sector. However, despite this support, the non-inclusion of colleges of agriculture in TET fund funding from 2011 to date has been hampering training in mechanized farming in various agriculture and research institutions in the country. Now that the Agricultural Development Trust Fund has been signed into law by President, the union said if the right people are put in place to manage the fund, Nigeria will be among the leading committee of nations in the agri sector. The union national president lamented the infrastructural decay of training facilities at the colleges of agriculture, hence the appeal for more funding.
The strategic positions of colleges of agriculture cannot be overemphasized because of the categories and the caliber of training that we give to the nation. The technical aspects which is key to development of the sector.
The Academic Staff Union of Colleges of Agriculture is championing President Buhari's drive to make agriculture the economic window of Nigeria's journey to prosperity. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
Now to the 2022 flood report. The federal government has received report of the 2022 flood on how it affected food security nationwide. The report, which was submitted to the Minister of Agriculture, indicated that the country lost crop worth more than 700 billion naira. Musa Babaliu tells us more.
The 2022 flood assessment was carried out by the National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Service of the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria.
The said assessment was jointly conducted by the staff of the Extension Department.
The report submitted to the Minister of Agriculture highlighted the damages and cost analysis of the produce due to the flood. The total amount of loss to crops, including cereals, legumes, tubers and vegetables, was put at more than 384 million naira, while assessment impact on livestock, cattle, poultry, goat, sheep, pigs and snails was above 93 million naira. In the area of fisheries, the country lost more than 100 million worth of fish and other infrastructure.
And then we must improving our runoff management through the provision of erosion control measures in towns and villages and construction of groundwater harvesting reservoirs within the catchment of the rivers.
Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Muhammadu Mahmoud Abubakar, says government will look at the recommendation towards mitigating flood and other environmental challenges.
Because of the technological advancement, because of the population growth, need for electricity, for water, for agriculture and all that, it becomes necessary to construct certain dams to also prevention of flood. Yes. And with this current Presidential Committee on the Prevention of Flood Disaster, all of this is being taken into consideration.
The total losses to the 2022 flood as compiled by the Ministry of Humanitarian, Disaster Management and Social Development was put at over 4.2 trillion naira. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And back to the discussion on the death of Musharraf, and Ambassador Dawda Danladi is still in the studio. Ambassador, we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, you spoke briefly about the life and times of late Musharraf, but really, what effect will his death have on the current political situation in Pakistan?
Well, I think, let me start by saying that the West, especially the United States, have lost a great ally. The people of Pakistan and government have also lost a great patriot. Remember that when Musharraf came into power in 1999, Pakistan was facing very serious economic, social and security challenges. Pakistan was virtually economically bankrupt when he came into government. Pakistan was isolated internationally, and of course Pakistan was facing very serious political instability. Following the checkered history of previous governments, the opposition have always collaborated with the arbitrary elected government in Pakistan. So since independence, no elected government has completed a term in office. But when Musharraf came in, Musharraf was able to stabilize the polity. He built very strong democratic institutions. And if you recall, in 2008, when he contested the election, because of the institution that he has put in place, he lost that election because elections were conducted free and fair during his term. Again, his strong point was that he was able to get Pakistan out of the economic woes that Pakistan was facing. He was able to attract huge foreign investment, never witnessed for over 30 years in the history of Pakistan. He was able to leave about $16 billion in foreign reserve. He was able to introduce reforms with greater emphasis on science, education and health. And today, even Nigeria, we are beneficiaries because we have 12 Super Musharraf trainer aircraft that is assisting the armed forces of Nigeria in combating the terrorism in the country. And that was due to the emphasis on science and technology, which was really started during
I have
Musharraf's
to come in
time.
there. Could you recall, during his reign as a military ruler, how would you describe the relationship between Pakistan and Nigeria, especially Africa as a whole?
Let me start by saying that right from independence, Pakistan has been very great ally to African countries. We have very robust diplomatic relations. Most of our military generals were trained in Pakistan, going back to the days of our great General IBB, right down to most of the officers. And even now, there are still officers undergoing various training in Pakistan. Pakistan has assisted countries like Algeria, Morocco, Libya, Egypt, and Namibia. Pakistan was in the forefront against the fight against discrimination apartheid regime in South Africa. So during his term, there was robust military cooperation with African countries, and over dozens of African countries have their embassies in Islamabad. Some have concurrent accreditation with Pakistan. So, and we are also members of the D8 countries. We are also members of the OIC.
Yes.
And it has been very cordial.
Very cordial. All right, you know, Africa is confronted with so many challenges. What virtues can African leaders emulate from this great man?
Well, I think it is our leaders would expect them to be patriotic, to be selfless, to be dedicated, to be focused, to revamp our agricultural sector, to ensure that industrialization takes place in African countries, to put in place strategies and policies that will harness the abundant mineral resources that we have in African countries to develop the African countries. You see, the African continent is rich. It's we, the Africans, that are poor. And what is required is the political will and the strategy that will harness our abundant resources so that Africa can get out of poverty and Africa can provide sustainable development that will put our people, put the countries, our African countries, at par with developing with advanced countries.
Ambassador Dauda Danladi, we want to thank you so much for coming on the news. Thank you for enlightening us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. News on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja, the nation's capital. Let's take a breather now. More reports ahead. To stay with us.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Entel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit entel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Entel. Live more.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Welcome back. Governor Mohammed Badaru Abubakar of Jigawa State has approved the appointment of Hamim Nuhu Sanusi as the 22nd Emir of Dutse. This was contained in a statement signed by the Secretary to the Government of Jigawa State, Adamu Abdulkadir Fanini. Hamim Nuhu succeeded his father, Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi, who died on Tuesday, 31st of January 2023, after reigning for 28 years. Until his appointment as Emir of Dutse, Hamim Nuhu Sanusi held the title of Dania Dutse. The Northeast Development Commission is expanding its horizon to include the local government council in the development of the region in order to avail the locals the opportunity to participate in the rebuilding process. Managing Director of the Commission, Mohammed Goni Alkali, is optimistic that this will enhance and ensure an exercise devoid of sabotage. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
The Northeast Development Commission has been collaborating with various institutions from within and outside the country for the rapid development of the region. This time around, the 112 local government council chairmen in the 6 states of the region are put under one roof to discuss better ways of rebuilding the region. Managing Director of the Commission thank JICA for the opportunity given to selected persons on study tour to Japan to have first-hand information on the Hiroshima post-war and Great East Japan earthquake. And the key lessons learned during the tour are inclusiveness of the local communities in recovery and development planning, governance to reduce trust deficit between government and the people.
So we adapt some of the good that they have from there into our own situation, considering that we have a social justice issue that we have to address. We'll put that into consideration when we're trying to formulate our own solutions to solving our problems.
The Northeast Development Commission has been looking inward in the bid to rapidly develop the region within the stipulated time. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Biotechnology Advanced Research Center of the Sheda Science and Technology Complex is driving the bioeconomy in Nigeria by providing guideposts to human cell culture and research that borders on discovery as well as development of drugs for the treatment of many neglected tropical diseases. Director General of the agency confirmed this alongside other breakthroughs on ARI at the just concluded Science Expo. Justin Bemoy reports.
Among the many neglected tropical diseases as well as non-communicable diseases of concern are the various types of cancer, including breast, prostate and brain cancer. The Medical Biotechnology Department of the Biotechnology Advanced Research Center, Sheda Science and Technology Complex (SHESCO), has developed different drug delivery strategies to achieve specific targeting of these diseases. The good news now is that SHESCO, being one of the hosts to Human Cell Culture Facility in Nigeria, has come out with a major breakthrough in its research with the discovery of a $1 million anti-cancer agent called prodigosine.
Yes, the human cell culture, we actually started that based on our research work on cancer cells. And then these cancer cells, we are looking at a particular drug, prodigosine, which we produce and which we felt is an anti-cancer drug. And then for you to see the efficacy, we have to cultivate the cancer cells in vitro, that is outside the body. So we do that in the laboratory, and through experiments and other things, we're able to now can culture any other cell other than cancer cells. It's almost the same protocol. It's just the media you use, that's what differs.
He confirmed they have tested the efficacy of this drug on breast cancer cell lines and equally compared it with paclitaxel, a well-known anti-cancer drug that is FDA approved, and they were found to be at par.
Why it is unique is that you get this from West, from what we call West. If you go everywhere now, you see polythene bags scattered everywhere. So we get these polythene bags, and that's all. We use certain microorganisms to act on it, and you have prodigosine produced.
The production of this drug, the DG says, is still at the pilot scale, and there is ongoing effort to scale up its production to meet the growing demands of its application to research on tumor cells in general and triple-negative breast cancer cells in particular. Also, it is confirmed that this drug is quite promising as it stands to compete favorably in the market, being that it is produced locally and it will be readily available and very affordable. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Nigeria's National Lottery Commission says it is determined to ensure the socio-economic development of the country through the promotion of national interests. Director General of the Commission, Larry Bajabiamila, said this while inspecting some facilities in Abuja. Hamen Jabani reports.
It is believed that revenue from the exchange of winning numbers will be invested in social welfare works, creating a better living environment for the people, thereby having significantly improved investment in education, health, transport, housing, culture, sports, and tourism. It is in the light of that the Nigerian Lottery Regulatory Commission put everything in place to see to the take-off of Nigerian National Lottery. The national gaming, which is set to commence in February, the Commission said it will not be an addictive gambling, but a responsible lottery with all measures put in place and to add to sport economic development.
Enhance, it will contribute, and it will also economically help Nigerians in different ways as well, in health, the health sector as well, and definitely education. Employment from LRA to employ more Nigerians, and then also the fund generated will also be used to enhance Nigerians and Nigerian society as a whole.
The national game is now looking at not just at the regional level, but now at a national level. That mere fact that we are coming with this national game to change people's lives will bring that credibility that people will believe in us that yes, we are actually here to change lives of Nigerians.
The national games will be expected to be live and will have jackpot, instant win, and other games. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Talking sports now, Al Ahly of Egypt and Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia are through to the semi-finals of the FIFA Club World Cup in Morocco. Austin Edemudu in Rabat, Morocco brings us details.
It is match day 2 in the ongoing 2022 FIFA Club World Cup holding in Morocco. We are right here at Rabat, where we are going to witness the match between Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia and Wydad Casablanca of Morocco, here in Prince Mullah Abdullah Stadium. Already fans are trooping into the stadium, as you will see, and it's going to be an interesting match. I have some fans here from Saudi Arabia who have come to support Al Hilal. Please, can you tell us how you feel coming to Morocco from Saudi Arabia to witness this important match?
We are happy to meet at this competition. So we wish that we will win. We will support. We will give everything.
Let's see how the match is going to pan out.
Of Saudi Arabia on penalties to set up a
2 minutes to go.
From Rabat in Morocco, I'm Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
And that ends the news at this time on NTA International. Thank you so much for watching. Do ensure to always take action against rape and rapists. I'm Elizabeth Omori.